Welcome to Capital City News, your source for staying informed and engaged with Salt Lake City government. I'm your host, Brian Young with SLC TV. On our episode this week, we spoke with a member of the Sustainability Department about their food equity programs, and our History Minute is something interesting about Salt Lake City's past. Before we get to those, though, let's take a look at our look backs, our look ahead, but first our legislative update.
At its February 14th meeting, the City Council received an update on Housing SLC, a new housing plan in development to guide how the city addresses housing needs for the next 5 years. Growing SLC, the current housing plan is in its final year, meaning a new and updated plan is needed. The City Council was also updated on the Local Link study, its recommended projects, programs, policies to address transportation gaps and barriers, as well as a proposed extension of the S-Line streetcar. They also received briefings on an amendment to the Parks, Natural Lands, Trails, and Urban Forestry Advisory Board and changes to the Salt Lake City Sister Cities Board. To learn more about these issues or any others, please visit slc.gov/council. For the past few months, and especially last week, there were extensive preparations by public safety staff for the more than 100,000 visitors to Salt Lake City. Thanks to everyone who joined in on the fun for NBA AllStar Weekend. And thanks to all the city staff and others that helped make the weekend happen. Mayor Mendenhall and the City Council adopted a joint ceremonial resolution recognizing February as Black History Month in Salt Lake City. We acknowledge the importance of Black History Month as an opportunity to reflect on the complex history of the United States. Mayor Mendenhall urged Salt Lakers to join in on reflecting on the generations of struggle that continue to this day.
For our interview this week, we spoke with the Sustainability Department about their new food equity program.
So we're at the Liberty Wells Community Garden today. It's one of our community gardens that is on city-owned property. We have a number of them. We opened up a new one last year. And we have always a couple of them in the works. Community gardens are a really great space for not only growing food and empowering residents and families and community groups to produce their own food, but also to create a space for neighbors to interact with one another and build that community and build shared interactions and relationships around food and growing foods in pieces of land that would not be able to be utilized for anything else. So the Food Equity Microgrant Program is a new program this year. This program grew out of recommendations from our Resident Food Equity Advisors program. We have $35,000 to invest in community-led programs and projects for improving food equity in our community. So we have two categories of grant. We have our home grants, which is for residents to be able to get a little bit of a funding to start or expand their own home food production gardens or other programs or projects like chicken coops and bees. And then we also have our community grants, so up to $5,000 for community organizations and small groups, local businesses. Really what we're looking to do is improve food equity in our community and make food healthy, culturally relevant, local food more accessible to more people. To apply for one of our micro grants, we have an online application and a paper application, but we'll also accept, so part of the program is that we want both the process and the outcomes of this program to be equitable and accessible. So we're trying to make our applications available in as many formats and in as many languages as possible. So we do have an online application, but we are going to accept paper applications or a video recording or an audio recording, or if someone wanted to walk through the application, they can give me a call or set up a time with me to go through it, and we'll talk through what they're interested in, what their project is, and they can apply that way. The deadline to apply is March 5th. We'll start reviewing applications in March and then hopefully be able to get our funding out the door in April in time for the growing season. So please visit our website, and then if you have questions, call or email or text, please get a hold of us, and we'll be able to answer and support some really cool projects.
It's time now for my favorite part of the episode, the History Minute. Born in 1943, Nolan Bushnell grew up in Clearfield, Utah, and in 1961 came to Salt Lake City to attend the University of Utah. He studied engineering and business at the college, but graduated with a degree in electrical engineering. During school, he spent summers working at the Lagoon Amusement Park, managing the Midway Games, and became fascinated with how they worked. After college, he moved to California, hoping to get a job with Disney, but when that failed, he ended up working at a company that put him in contact with a man named Ted Dabney. Together, they created a computer game called Computer Space. Though it sold $3 million worth of units, it was considered a failure, and they looked for their next project to work on. In 1972, Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney founded Atari. Bushnell built the infrastructure of Atari that produced Pong, and history was made. He even employed Apple magnates Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at the highly successful business. In 1977, Bushnell was looking for new distribution channels for Atari video games, and purchased Pizza Time Theater as a place where kids could eat pizza and play his games. This became Chuck E. Cheese. Between Atari and Chuck E. Cheese, Nolan Bushnell, a student from Salt Lake City, left an indelible impression on the world. That's it for this episode of Capital City News. Remember, the best way to stay engaged is to stay informed. You can do that by following us on social media at SLC.gov, subscribing to us on YouTube, or watching us on Channel 17. So reporting in from around Salt Lake City, I'm Brian Young.